The creators call it I'm schmacked.
I'm schmacked.
Getting schmacked.
I'm schmacked. I'm schmacked. Getting schmacked.
Well, Chris, it's called getting schmacked.
Don't let this be our final song.
3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the latest episode of Smac Talk Podcast. I never forgot who I was there for a second, because today I am interviewing none other than Finnterview Finnterviewing. I'm Finnterviewing Finn. I'm Finnterviewing Conor Finn. Jesus, I made a mess of that.
Oh no, I was enjoying it. Honestly, I was being like, go for it, man. I was like, where are we going to next? Jesus God. I'm just starting noting these down. I could get some ideas like Brandon. Do you know what I mean?
We were honestly saying, literally just before we hit record, it's like we have like such different approaches to how like we like operate the opening part of our podcast. And that's not how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. That is not how you want to do it.
I think the difference mainly was that you were like, okay, I'm going to like prepare some things, and then, you know, some candidly blah blah like this. I think I just go on it as such, like I'm so much more chaotic with it, like
yeah.
like you're even showing me, yeah, obviously be like, here's some notes and things, and I was being like, wait, you take notes? What?
No, honestly,
we're here now, so we're winning.
Yeah, no, we're here now. It's like all like today I was thinking at work, I was like, what's the best way to bring this up? And like I'll just you know, today I'm Finnterviewing none other than Mr. Conor Finn from Finnterview podcast, and then whatever just happened there now, I don't even know. We'll move on. If you haven't guessed by now, Conor is a fellow podcaster. I believe Conor top 20 comedy podcasts. Is that the title we're going with?
Yes. So they tell me, but my main claim to fame is top 3 comedy podcasts in Albania for some fucking reason. Yeah. So, you know, Aaron can piss off. Albania are my true fucking lovers. Although saying that, I think it was only because it was like I had some like flat earther on, and for some reason that does really well in Albania. So for good or bad, yeah, I'm in some kind of fucking charts. I'm probably on some hit lists as well, but yeah.
You're what? So you're banned from going to Albania, or else you're adored. We don't know which one yet.
Well, honestly, I don't want to find out.
I actually couldn't even tell you where Albania is. I'm pretty sure they're in. Are they in Eurovision?
You're asking the wrong person. Honestly, you're preaching to the choir here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm their god. No, yeah, I'm the top comedian. Fucking Albania. Like, I'm so kind of like, how limited are they in podcasts where some random wee Nordy kid is like chatting shite to American flat earther, and apparently that lands in the charts. I'm like, lads, I mean, the bar must be fucking low, but I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it either way. Yeah.
Look, a top 3 is a top 3. Like, you can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I wonder what range country I'll get picked up into, because you see, like in your, they give you like your feedback and stuff like that. Like this has been played in like Azerbaijan, and like I can't even name some of the countries. Like I'm like, where the hell is this? And how can they understand this accent, which is even more terrifying?
Yeah, I get really annoyed whenever as well. I don't get enough ones from like Armagh itself. You know, like sometimes it breaks it down. Whatever my thing is from, like there'll be like some random towns in Manchester. I'm like, come on, like I definitely know more people in Armagh than Manchester. I'm like, you fucking lads, you know, a wee bit of local sport, you pricks, but fucking. Sorry, am I allowed to swear here? I forgot.
Oh yeah, anything goes. Anything goes. Trust me,
that's already happened.
if I literally went with the approach of you can't swear in this podcast, I'd spend too much time. I'd spend a week just going bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah. No time
the language out of young ones these days, I'm telling you, it's awful. It's absolutely awful.
It's a disgrace.
It's a fucking disgrace.
Yeah, I hear that just kick them down across the border and get rid of them. That kind of way, you know what I mean? They're being like, get over our fucking, the guards will hand them. Yeah.
So tell me this, I'm interested. You ended, it was said before, like you landed down in Dublin. Now, as far as all news reports goes, why would anybody want to go down and move in Dublin?
You know what? I just really like the idea of paying extortionate rent and being like ostracized for being from not Dublin. So yeah, I just see it as a real opportunity. No, so I actually moved down about when was it? Just after uni, 2019 October, I want to say. Yeah, I got offered a job. I was working for, I don't know if you know Joe.ie.
I'm familiar with Joe, yeah.
Yeah. They hate the eyes, being like, I'm fucking for, I've heard those, but run some articles. So I actually got offered a job with them, and I was being like, yeah, sweet, whenever. Like obviously Dublin, I was looking to move away, and I was like, that'll do grand. how long do you have? And they went like, well, ASAP. And I was like, can you give me 2 weeks? To me, not understanding that Dublin is literally the hardest place in the world to get housing in, because apparently there's a big crisis happening down here where people can't leave. Yeah, I was being like, oh, I just thought everybody's really keen into camping out in the streets, like, but no, it's not a choice. So I've been down here, yeah, literally moved down for that job. COVID said, good luck to all the media companies.
Tell me about it.
And they're like, yeah. So I'm at another company now, just doing kind of social media bits. But yeah, I just decided, I was like, COVID is not kicking me out of Dublin, because I hadn't properly experienced coppers yet as a resident here. Yeah, only as a tourist. So I said, no, I'm sticking around here for another year, and then I'll get coppers, and then I'll piss way back off again. So that's how it ended up, for some reason, down here and still down here.
so basically, your time is you went for the glamorous lifestyle and the partying. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, absolutely, no shy of doubt. Like, yeah, everybody's been like, oh yeah, it must be like great for work and all like this, and I'd be like, poverty line is glamorous. It is.
You're going to be able to get into coppers and not afford any of the drinks, being like, wow, these look like really good drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be like, yeah, I just want to see it, just take my pictures and then head off. Yeah, as long as the Instagram looks good, yeah, that's all I'm worried about.
It's like those people that go to Lourdes and like aren't holy at all. They're just like, oh yeah, I've been. It's like, you don't believe it, any of
it. Liar, God,
devil, you sinner, sinner.
But I've always said as well, being like, if anything does happen to me down here, I mean, I will always, I'll definitely pay for a taxi before, and I'll just drop me off at Daisy Hospital up around your end. Like, fuck, am I paying for the healthcare? Like, no,
oh, no,
not happening, mate. No. But I mean, yeah, for some reason, I'm still down here. Like, so it's, yeah.
Yeah. Haven't left.
Make me question my life. Jesus Christ, I'm only on about 2 minutes since this podcast. Christ.
So tell me about your podcast. I want to learn more about it and stuff, because not only do you have exceptional guests, like you're not exactly, you're saying about the poverty line, but your guests are pretty much the upper crust of the Irish culture, for a better term phrase. Like, you've probably had the biggest comedians in the country on your podcast, and you had none other than Mr. Frank Mitchell on your podcast. Like,
oh God,
how are you landing these legends?
I would say it's usually dealt with really well by boredom, bit of drink in me, and absolute shamelessness. I am so horrendous, like, for, I suppose, right, so in kind of past work and stuff like this, like I do like as I said, I like worked with Joe there, but like before this, I'd like kind of work at like little media bits. Sometimes in casting, I'd work for like TV shows or whatever. So I'm kind of used to doing like the cold calling or the cold, just like writing in somebody's DMs or being like, hey, or whatever like this. So whenever it kind of came to me, be like, yeah, but like I can do a podcast or whatever like this, I was going, right, what could I do it about? Like, I could do like a game show, like try and like really reach out the system. And then I went, no, like, fuck my head in a game show kind of podcast. No, that's not happening at all. I was like, right, what else can I do? I was like, I can usually chat quite a lot of shit. And I was like, I'm a bit like, and as well as being like, I know a couple of people that could, be like influential enough, and then hopefully those build or whatever like this. The first 5, I would say, like, no, not first 5, about 5 people on the podcast I know personally. Like, other than that, every other single one of them, I've just been like, hey, come on, because I knew it was lockdown. It's been like, right, if you're not getting back to me and you're saying you have something else to do, you're a liar, a cheater, and I'll rinse you. No, but like, I literally just chance my arm. But I would say there are some agents that must definitely blacklist me at this stage, because like I just write the most like random emails. I like pop up in people's Twitters, like their Instagrams. Like, I hunt people down. Like, if anybody has like an ex, or if someone's trying to find out if they're cheating on somebody, me, I'll find them. Like, I swear to God, it's like some CSI stuff. Like, it's amazing. I'm quite proud of myself of it. But yeah, that's how I kind of have managed to land some of those kind of ones, utter shamelessness, and just me being like, oh, come on, chat.
Come on.
Yes. yeah, genuinely. Like, and then if they don't, I'll be like, oh, fuck them, they don't deserve it. But yeah, anyway, like, one person that I've wrote to like too many times this week, and it's always when I'm drunk, Daniel O'Donnell. Well, I don't know why. Whenever I'm drunk, I'd be like, I just want to tell you.
Are you telling me you drunk text Daniel O'Donnell?
Well, I drunk emailed the agent and then misspelled Daniel and O'Donnell and then every other word in the format. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, because I sometimes have like a bit of a template to like chuck out and then I'll change it specific for guests. I definitely sent him being like, I'd really like if her or she and like different pronouns or like this. I'd be like, and they're actually quite nice to come back to me and be like, sorry, we think he's too busy at the moment. I'd be like, I wouldn't answer me back at all. Like, so honestly, but at this stage, I think I am probably quite blocked from that route. Now, yeah, they probably put red flags up whenever it's been like, do not respond.
You sound a bit like me, because I was talking recently about having guests on, and Julie, you get the messages back. They're like, "Oh, I'm busy," or "Oh, I'll let you know in a while," or something. Like, when it's not a yes, it's a fucking no.
Yeah,
you know yourself, and you're like, God's sake. But when Daniel O'Donnell comes crawling back, which he will. You make sure you make sure you take the low road. He goes, you know what, Daniel? Nah.
You'll be like, you know what? He'd be like, yeah, you fucking lost your chance, Danny boy. I tell you now, yeah, you can just keep on walking. Yeah, he's going to see that bin on Smac Talk, and he'd be like, oh shit, I didn't realize. Like, oh god, yeah, him. Yeah, I know, and I'll be like, yeah, too little, too late. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Having dinner first.
I actually don't think I could sit through an interview with him. I would just be in stitches at his voice the whole time. I really want to attempt the accent. It's like, Michelle, tonight I'm going on to the Smack Talk podcast. He was like, what?
Sorry, that was unreal.
That was not unreal.
Honestly. I used to actually.
We'll just say, for everyone listening at home, we actually got Daniel O'Donnell on the call here. He's actually joined us.
I used to actually work with a guy that I don't know if you've seen. There's like piss take, like Daniel O'Donnell videos where like somebody's like, me? Yes. I worked with the guy that made them, the DOD.
No way. I'm a fan, but that's my brother's like idol. Whoever this fella is, that's his hero.
Smells like fish, but it tastes like chicken. What about you? Yeah. Oh no, like honestly, yeah. This man, Gary Carroll, is like honestly that like people don't know him enough. His name's Nostril Shorts. Follow him. He is a godsend. Like the man does the best impression of in life, and he makes all his songs. But like that was hilarious when I actually got him on the podcast. I did an interview, but I couldn't put it up because the whole file corrupted. But it was around the same time that actual Daniel John got back to me and I was being like, what universe will this be happening where I can get fake Daniel O'Donnell and real Daniel O'Donnell on the same, like I was like, can I make that happen? Because dear God, I need it to happen. But
that would be the best segment ever. You invite him on at the end and you'd be like, we're gonna see if he's gonna identify who the real Daniel O'Donnell is.
Genuinely, like, do you know what I mean? Like only dreams can come true. Like, yeah.
Oh my God, and you can get them to rap. You can get them to do the party rap. Both of them.
Genuinely, like I want to know if he's heard about this, because I feel like it's like a cult following at this stage. As you said, like whenever I like went down, I was really like, oh my god,
yeah.
It's him. Like, but I didn't realize until I was like literally laughing about this like video and be like, oh yeah, he made that, and I just turned around and be like, hello, like.
But that's such a strange thing, because due to the way there's just like everyone, I suppose, like we do podcasting, so we're pretty like, laid back and don't care what people think. Yeah, we're pretty, white sexy, males, we're pretty edgy that have podcasts. Like, no one else is really doing it at the minute.
Yeah, groundbreaking. Fuck.
But like, due to the way sometimes you doubt yourself on social media and you think like, is this too weird? Like I will sometimes think to myself, is what I'm doing here, is this clip, or like sometimes you make like do like a party or something, you're like, is this too weird? Surely this guy that was making the Daniel O'Donnell before he hit upload was like, am I mentally well in the head? But it goes one of two ways. It's either people love it, or people are like, no, he's not allowed back out in public again.
Like I'd say there's sometimes, like I'd say I unfortunately probably don't upload enough of the weird shit that I have on myself. I'd say when it comes to social media, like I definitely wouldn't be as as probably strong as like other people are in terms of like being ballsy, set stuff up. Yeah. But yeah, I mean to go out in the full, I mean the man sustained that for many years. I mean he's still kicking them out, so I would only treat them with utter pride and respect.
Yeah.
Like, I'm what's Gary up to at the moment? Is he still doing the Daniel O'Donnell? Oh yes, indeed. He's doing one flicking the bean. Oh, it's fantastic. Treat you. You'll enjoy it now. Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes me think like how people get away with it. Just there is. I just find there is that fine line. Is it weird? Is it not weird? Like whenever you start your own podcast, you're like, are people going to like this? Are people not going to like this? But whoever you are watching this, fucking whatever weird shit you have in your mind, put it on the internet. what's the worst that can happen?
Sorry, I thought you were frozen there, and I was looking at you, being like, "This is so annoying." And then I checked, and I realized it was me. That's my bad. Sorry.
You were free. You sorted out that Dublin Wi-Fi. Fuck's sake.
No, I swear to God, like, what the fuck's happening here? Like, Jesus Christ, I thought it was going to be great down here. Apparently, piss all. Yeah, that'll teach me. Like,
I'm in fucking the back end of South Armagh. Well, I suppose we can get anything over the border up here. Like Wi-Fi, not an issue.
but you might expect all this a wee bit better. No, apparently not at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all just an illusion. Yeah, they like just to believe, and then they get down, and then they snatch in. Yeah. God. But sorry,
if you're wondering what the hell happened there, and listen to this, because I always forget there's audio only format. If you're wondering what the hell happened there, I was frozen still, Connor was frozen still, and yes, here we are now. So the magic of the iMovie isn't going to be that great with me. So here we are.
And we're back. Yay! Sorry, what even happened there? The Thomas are so good. We're just quite quiet for a bit. Haha.
So I really want to get into like the whole way. As I said, I want to go way back. Let's go back, and talk about why the hell. Well, I suppose for both of us, why we have podcasts, or why more stuff you have a podcast. Really, like, because nobody, and I am convinced nobody was sitting there in school being like, when I'm older, I really want to be a podcaster. Like, where does it come from, or why? What do you think's been the big movement at the minute, or why did you want to start one?
You speak for yourself, Sean. All right, I've been hunting the street for years.
Living the dream, baby.
No. Yeah, baby. Yeah, talking to people on the internet. Woo! No, I think so. I remember like discovering, because I think it's only the last couple of years that people are really like engaged with podcasts. Like, I know it was big in America, but for over here, like, I know, like, if you say to people you're listening to podcasts, they're being like, oh, okay, and like they maybe be like listen to like Serial or like maybe My Favorite Murder. I feel like it was a lot of like those kind of genres and ones that anybody that did listen to stuff kind of would have been in the periphery. But I remember listening to like podcasts on like SoundCloud, like back in school. I would listen to like replays of like radio, like RT2 FM and stuff like this, because they had like the really funny bits, but they would have made them to like little podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started like this around the time as well, where like I still kind of watched, like I was like really into like YouTube shows, and like, you know, those like real like ones like Shane Dawson and stuff like this. Like it was that kind of vibe of time. Okay, don't judge me. That everybody's been cancelled so far, but people used to watch it back then. But I remember seeing like him coming out with podcasts, and I was being like, "What the fuck is a podcast?" But I was like, "Where am I going to like find the time to just listen to audio?" I was like, "That sounds so stupid to me," because I was so hooked on like TV and film shows. But essentially it was that, it was just watching YouTubers, and then their podcast would be up on YouTube, and then it's just be like, oh, sometimes I was just trying to get to go to sleep at night. And so when I'm home, me and my brother, because we're twats, we share a room. Like none of us was smart enough to move, or like one of our rooms to study. But when he was like, you know, me trying to get sleep, I'd try to blank him out, but like just putting on like a podcast, putting on my earphones. But yeah, it would have kind of been listening to that, like Shane Dawson. Like there was a girl, Grace Helbig, does like one Not Too Deep, which I think is like the most hilarious thing in the world. She literally, like, anytime people try to do this where they talk and like try to get deeper on their subject, she goes, no, not too deep. And she's like, what's your worst pants shitting story? And like literally alleviates back up. It's such a good concept. But yeah, I remember for years I was just be like, I just really like to do a podcast. I think I kind of want to do radio as well. And I was just like, frig it. Like I just kind of, I suppose it just, I kept putting it off, same as everybody else. You know what I mean? You're listening to these things all the time. And then once you kind of get down to it and you think like, right, what am I going to do about it? Or like, when am I going to do this? I mean, there's nothing better than a fucking global pandemic.
Good old pandemic will do that for you.
to lock you in your room and go like, okay, come on. Like I really don't have any other excuses to do, but like, yeah, I suppose that was my initial kind of like introduction into them. I suppose that was it similar to yourself?
You're sort of like you seem like an OG podcaster, like SoundCloud. Like what year we started talking about back then? Like that, I didn't even know it was a thing. So what sort of year are we saying like you started listening to podcasts?
I think I just didn't have Spotify at the time. And also I was just trying to get out my fresh DJ hits. No, like, yeah, I don't know. Like SoundCloud's a really random one. But for some reason, that's where people would push you to. Because I remember there was Apple Podcasts as well. And I didn't really understand that. But like, I just had a really shitty iPhone. And I don't know if the apps properly worked on it or whatever like this. But yeah, for some reason, SoundCloud was like a go-to for me. You're making me really question, like, why the fuck did I ever use SoundCloud? Like, that's such an abstract way to go into it, but yeah, partly that's where.
I think for me, to answer your question was like, obviously Joe Rogan, fucking the Lord Savior of podcasting worldwide, was like the big one. And for like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think people have their bits with Joe Rogan, but for me, like, you know, he sort of opened a lot of, I think, fellas' eyes into like, you know, connecting more with, I don't even know how to put it, like, but just connecting more and understanding like issues that's fucking wrong with men. I think he's been really, really good at that, even though he does go on like a bit of a meathead sometimes, obviously. But like, I think it was really like humbling. Like, if you had heard, like, Joe, like, if I had told my friends back in the day, or like someone on the football team, like, oh, I'm listening to the podcast, like, what's wrong with you, Joe? Like, there was that weird stage. Like, you listen to the podcast. Like, yeah. May as well have told them to play with Barbie dolls. Like, it was weird. It was like a really weird stage. And then sort of you had this like Joe Rogan wave of like massiveness come along. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, sure. No, I'm starting a podcast. I have my own podcast. And it was all cool all of a sudden. Like,
yeah, maybe we're to blame actually. Then Joe, like, we're being like, yeah, I mean, it really opened it up, and then we're being like, and also into the market. No, like that's actually completely fair. Like, I don't know, I actually never really got into Joe Rogan, but I just like, I don't know, maybe it's just me just being like on some certain parts of Twitter or whatever like this, but like people just go and like ham on him, like, and then I just get like some random clips coming in, but then also, do you know what I mean? If that's what's coming up on your feed, you're kind of in an echo chamber of that.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know. Like, I obviously I know he's huge whatever like this, but I've never properly sat down. Also because they're so long. Like, I know my podcasts are long, but so long. Like, my attention span like is out the window. Like, if within like 10 minutes, like that's why I put them in before I go to bed, usually just to fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I actually remember that. Yeah, it was more in uni. I think people were being like, "Oh yeah, Joe Rogan podcast," but like maybe I feel like more people were probably with it. Just again, as you said, you wouldn't really talked about it. Like,
no. Yeah, you're like,
all nervous.
So you literally come and sit there listening to a podcast, and like someone's like, well, what are you listening to? You're like, fucking AC/DC, heavy metal rock. And like, you just lay for no reason. It's like, I swear I'm not listening to two people have a conversation. Don't judge me. That's literally it. But I think, and then the other sort of podcast I listened to, I got really into the whole like Joe American comedy scene, like Whitney Cummings and fucking Chappelle Lacey, like just all them ones, and like just I got really into that, and I was just loving all that. It's like, this is so interesting. Like, all these funny people literally just throwing out absolute gold for free. So good. And then what got even better was I discovered that people from here that are comedians had podcasts. And I was like, this is I was like, this is a million times better than those people over there.
Exactly.
And it blew my mind.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. It just seemed to like explode out of nowhere as well. Like, but sorry, just when you reminded me there, being like, oh, then I got to like American comedians, whatever, like this. That was during my school days that I was mainly listening to like these kind of YouTuber ones, whatever, like this. When I got to uni, I was actually working for this like animation company, and it was like doing for like this like kids TV show, like this like real like proper, you know, preschool kind of style TV show. Clearly this is what I signed up for, but I was going to do for the experience. So I end up getting into really like inappropriate podcasts for my set, and I started listening to, do you know my dad wrote a porno?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started listening to it like whilst like doing like this kids animation stuff, because I don't know why, it's like these settings that like make it so much funnier. I used to listen like the Conan O'Brien one, and like there's this other one, it's like on BBC Sounds called Unexpected Fluids, and basically it has this Irish guy has this Irish guy, Riyadh Calv, and Ariel Fox or whatever, this like Saxford, and they just go like, they're literally go into town and things, and like I followed that on, like I don't know why, but those kind of ones really are like it's kind of like whenever you're masked or whatever like this, and you're trying not to laugh, but like it just makes it so much funnier. Like I don't know why, that's just been happening so far, where I was just, it's similar to yourself, I suppose, where actually not similar to yourself at all. I just sound like a freak now. But the most inappropriate podcast for their setting, that's what probably got me really into it in the last couple of years. And then I just went along that tangent. Like, yeah.
I find it so weird sometimes whenever you're listening to podcasts, and hopefully people listening to this can relate, and not just us loving, like, just, I love podcasts so much. It's like sometimes I find it weird though, because when you're listening to a good podcast and something's really funny, and you're just like, you're like laughing out loud, but you're afraid to laugh out loud because people are like, I am going to look like a murderer out in public again here.
Oh, I have no shame about it anymore. Like, I think that's one thing over lockdown. Walking around, you see so many people just like that start getting into podcasts now that you're just be like, they're definitely this the one.
Yeah.
And then if you see them laughing, you'll be like, oh, they're having fun. Oh,
Yeah.
they're enjoying themselves. It's like definitely not mine, but fuck off, it's fine. It's whatever. Yeah, everybody else not being it. Yeah, they're laughing their holes off, you bastards. Yeah. Not better. Sorry, can you resay with chip? Get some salsa for that chip in the shoulder.
So tell me this then. Top Comedy Podcast. Have you had any stand-up experience or like stuff like that? Or is it you into that as well?
No, I would say the reason I got like to doing this is like, right, I can sit down, I can have a chat with somebody, no bother, and can, you know, kind of gauge their humor and just have like, you know, as we're having here, just you can kind of get a bit of banter going, whatever like this. Like, I don't know, like but my brain doesn't work in the way that like comedians like brains work, where I like, you know, similar to yourself, where like I know you do like comedy and stuff like this as well. Like you just stand up, don't you?
Yeah, I've tried it. I've dabbled.
Yeah.
I've dabbled, I would say.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I've like the capacity to actually like make a group of people laugh. Like I know I can chat to one person and have a kind of crack with them. And it's just kind of like, just again, unfiltered. I don't know. I feel like I just like forget to actually check myself before I actually speak. But then it's just like whatever comes out a wee bit. But like, I feel like that going up on the stage isn't going to win anybody over. Yeah, like I'd like all the like comedians I chat to have been like, yeah, I got into it, like, you know, and they're talking about planning their shows and writing all like this, and I'm being like, and like even all ones again on like Twitter, Instagram, being like, how they're so funny, how they think of that so quick in the spot. My brain doesn't work like that. Like I'll think of something like a week later, and I'll be like, oh, I got a good point to bring up. So that like, no, I've never had any experience doing stand-up.
Is it something you would like to try, or do you think you just, as you said, they're like probably you're afraid of it coming out wrong? Because it's one of those things you are nailed to the crucifix. Like,
yeah, like, do you know what I mean? You've nowhere to hide. Like, I think I'd like to try it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be afraid of it. I'd love to try it just for the crack, but I just don't think it'd be my strong point. Like, I feel, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm that funny, like in that format, but like maybe like I know I can have good crack with ones. So yeah, we'll see. But then, I mean, my background's in theatre, so who knows? I'm a performer at heart. Like, who knows? Fucking bring me up on stage with spotlight, I'll dance for them if anything. Like.
You sound like me on a karaoke night on holidays.
Oh God, yeah, that's when I come into my real element. Like,
what would be your big song? You're on karaoke on holidays. What would be steaming? What's the vibe? What we're hitting?
You best fucking believe ABBA is getting ripped. It's not just one either. It's like the mega mix. You know, the one that they do, like the Grease mega mix, but like definitely ABBA. Oh no, like I like will be screaming Mamma Mia at them for it. Like, I like, yeah, there's that one in Belfast I've been to. It's just under like Robinson's or something. Like the amount of times I think that people have seen me in there is ungodly. Like I've done some damage to those speakers and the audience alike. So yeah, that's definitely my go-to. I feel like you mightn't just be the ABBA kind of man yourself, would you?
Like, I don't know. I love a good ABBA. No, I swear, like I think if. What did I sing that time? Oh, I sang Elvis. Of course, I've tried to give it the whole. Okay, I tried to give it the whole 10-9 yards, but it came out disgustingly awful. Butchered the song. Absolutely shamed myself. And it was actually at the time where I first met my girlfriend, and she was just like, I was actually impressed by how much you didn't give a fuck, but don't ever sing that ever again.
maybe that's your secret talent. Do you know what I mean? That's how you get them. Like, if she's able to stand through karaoke, that's some good standing. Like,
but then I was like, do you know the way you can't tell if you're a good singer or not? Well, so I think, when you sing out loud, you can't really gauge it. No,
I don't know what you're talking about. I live in my own fancy world where I think I'm fucking Mariah Carey. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think the better term is
I'm in complete disillusion all the time.
The better term is like, you know, you don't know if you're a bad singer until someone goes, you're a terrible singer, or you hear yourself back. So it's like you're like, it's almost you're blind to your own voice at the time. Like, I remember there's a video of my wee brother on the iPad, and he was like 5 at the time, God love him, and he like sets the iPad up and he's like, And they just start singing this like weird. What did he sing again? It was like, so it's Grease Lightning, but like it was awful. Like I mean, awful. And then he just like started shaking. He like shook his head, and we found it on the iPad. I'm like, what is this about? And he goes, I really wanted to see if I could sing or not. I was like, you can't. You're not going to the judges' houses. Yeah, everyone's done that.
I definitely have like voice recordings back and like old iPod touches and all like this where I'd be like titanium, like trying to really belt those high notes and stuff like this, and like and like trying to be like definitely like it's definitely like I'll get it someday, and then you'll, if you ever do like the injustice of listen back, you'll be like, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, there's shots of shit to people on the internet. But
I used to always think. I remember whenever I was younger, I used to always say to my ones when we watched X Factor, I was like, I don't think I would win the X Factor, but like I could definitely get through to the judges' houses. Like I could get to the judges' houses and get my teeth whitened. I think I can get that far. And they're just looking at me like, what are you talking about? Like you're literally 10. Shut up.
Sorry, do you know what I mean? There's some fucking like if there's anything like I could get through, but for like that sympathy vote, or did you know the one that they keep on just for the crack because they know their shit?
Yeah.
I feel like I could like steamroll my way into that, or do you know what I mean? Just do some like what was the guy who was like not Stavros Flatley, that was like Britain's Got Talent, wasn't it? Oh, he was the other guy like but there's like that weird beardy guy. I feel like it's in the same year as like Susan Boyle.
There's something in a V. I can't remember.
Yeah, and he did like a load of club nights afterwards.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't matter what they do in X Factor or any of the shows. They're booked out to fucking like, do you know what I mean? Limelight and like, where's Cookstown? What you call the change name? The Glenavon for the rest of their lives. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, you just need one fucking madness moment on TV and you're literally sorted for
exactly. Yeah. Our podcast, we never know. We might have our day. Yeah.
Who knows? One thing I wanted to pick your brain on, Connor, is how the fuck do we start making money off this stuff? Because there's a lot of people doing podcasting at the minute, and it's like everyone's sort of is driving it at the minute, and it's like, what is the game plan? People to monetize their podcast? Because I feel like you might have the answer to this.
You think I'll have the answer? No. Oh my god. The amount of people that literally be like, whenever I say, oh, what you do in your spare time, and I always get really awkward kind of saying podcasts because they'll be like, oh, like what's the name of it? Or like, you almost like feel a bit cringe still saying about it, like just because you're like, oh, there's chats people or whatever like this, and then they must like, and their main thing that they always come back to is be like, oh well, you must get good money off it then. And you go like,
no.
Yeah. Yeah, like I like I put up my PayPal sometimes. I like I made a wee Ko-fi account, like and I've made about £9. So that gets you maybe a toasty in Dublin. No, I've no idea how, like, honestly, the amount of videos I've watched where people are like, oh, you can like go down it some way by getting sponsored. I'm being like, but then there's other ones that are like go down another field where it's like you can become like an affiliate for some places. I'm like, sorry, if I start harping on being like get 20% off a fucking mattress, I don't have that audience are going to be hunting around, or like, do you know what I mean, or Squarespace or something like this. Like, what's the other one that all the comedians like have, like that Manscaped? I'm being like, like I feel like I don't really have that much cultural capital to influence people that much to be like going out and buying products. But I mean, I'm still waiting, like hopefully something someday. I feel like there's a lot of people that managed to reach out and do them. I remember there's these other guys that do a similar kind of podcast. It's called Pulling Favors, and they kind of get on like guests or like influential people and stuff like that. And I was saying like a couple of our ones we had the same, and I was being like, all right, you bastards. I was like, what the fuck are you getting on? They came out with like a thing being like, oh yeah, we've like partnered with Diesel, and like you can do like whatever like this. So I asked them about it, and they'll be like, oh man, honestly, it's like our mate works there, like he's like a marketing person at it, like, and I was like, oh, I see. And they're being like, oh, we also have a producer, and I'm being like, oh, I see. There's multiple people involved in this situation. I was like, oh, okay, because I was kicking myself down because I'm like yourself doing this all on the go, you know, booking, editing, presenting, you know, trying to push it out, deliver it all like this, and then you're being like, God, I don't even have time to reach out, because they have a team. They literally have a team behind them. So no, until I managed to figure out how to, I don't know, like promise some brands I'll get on some quality guests. I have no fucking idea how I'm going to be making money. But on that note, yeah, I suppose Kofi, yeah, you can get me on there. It's like Finnterviews podcast. Yeah, you can like donate to me some money. Yeah.
So
fine.
wait, what is Kofi? I've never heard of Kofi before. What is that?
Oh, it's supposed to be coffee, but spelled like KOFI. And basically you just sign up and people can like just basically just like buy the price of a coffee, which like, you know, you can set the price of it was like £3. So yeah, so I was be like, right, I don't expect people to be on Patreon for me. I know I'm not fucking that like highbrow or like in that demand, but I'm being like, but if you fancy it, you can buy me coffee. And it is actually really hilarious sometimes because I literally get guests that I cannot pay to come onto the show, and sometimes they'll pay me back in coffee like later on whenever I like push out something, and I'm like, sorry, this is beyond charity at this you give me your time and now you're paying for it on top of that. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, once you can figure it out, and then you know what, yeah, then we'll be flying. Yeah.
Yeah, we just need someone to figure it out, please. Keep the wheels turning.
Dear God.
Because I actually don't think I've told the story in the podcast. I actually, whenever the lockdown hit and I was like, right, fuck, I want to do a podcast. My whole story was, in summary, was did stand-up comedy, had one gig, took 2 mates, they goes, wasn't a disaster, you did quite well, we laughed. I was like, right, that's a success because you two are cunts, and if you found it funny, then you know, that must have went all right. Second gig went well. I was like, fuck it, you know, I'll tell my ones, I'll tell my friends, tell family, whatever, blah blah blah. And then next thing it was the world ended. And I was like, fuck sake, like, what am I going to do? I've told these people, look, come see me, you can have a laugh and whatever. What am I going to do? And I was like, I don't want to sit in my arse, so I'll start a podcast. So then what I do, I had no job at the time. So I decided to buy myself an Apple Mac and a full podcast setup. Absolutely gint, which in fairness is probably the price of an apartment in Dublin, a one bed in Dublin, but for
yeah, that's my monthly rent anyways. Yeah, grand. What you're investing into, mine's just going into fucking some laundry or something. I have no idea.
Somebody that doesn't live in Dublin anyway.
Absolutely not, just from Galway, I'll tell you exactly.
You're a bitch, Susan. You want to talk about it now?
It's fine. It's a just tough subject. Oh God, so you went full ham into it.
I went full
setup. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And then that's why I sort of be like, you know, try to get people in person, because I was like, no harm to have put all this money into it. I'm not zooming you for flipping, you know, come on, let's you know, get down to desperate care and let's do the thing. No, you're great. Exclusion of you. Next time you're in the area, we'll see.
Yeah. Next time you're in the area, tell me so I can definitely avoid you. But yeah, God.
Yeah, so that's the podcast. I'm trying to think, because I wanted to get more podcasts and fucking flow out of you and more like podcasting questions. But I think I've asked the important.
Oh God, is that it?
I wanted more like I wanted more podcasting tips for everyone. But we've sort of covered the money one, so that's pretty much it. That's
okay. I mean, I book people that don't earn shite, and I still like spend my evenings doing this. So yeah, lockdown's coming out of this, and I've been like, oh wow, that's just becoming a very lonely hobby once again. But God, it looks good on Instagram, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right field of subject, like you're in the right sort of business, like you're marketing and stuff like that, and now you have your podcast, so that definitely bodes well for you. This is going to be the most amount of work I've ever have to done with an editing podcast.
I'm so sorry.
I'm only joking.
So sorry.
I'm only joking.
You're like, I'm joking, but not really.
I don't know. It's easy. I'll just say the moments where it goes silent, because so far there hasn't been a second to breathe. You poor people listening at home being like, Jesus, these boys clearly don't get to talk much outside of podcasting.
Somebody's giving the opportunity, finally, to ask the other person the question. You're going, me.
But it's like, do you find, would you be quiet in person? Like Joe, once you come off the podcast as well, would you be a quiet person? Or are you still sort of that same sort of like bubbly sort of character?
Bubbly, interesting word. I'd say like just a fucking foghorn of a person. You know, you'll hear before you say me, that kind of job. Yeah, I definitely say this has not quieted me down, and I get such a hype off talking to people as well that I'll come out of them and I'll go upstairs like the housemates, wherever, like, and I'll be like and chat away, and I'll like literally, no, I'd say if anything, it's almost just giving me more of a proclivity to be chatting bollocks. And I think it's because when you're talking to so many, like constantly, like a weekly kind of thing, do you know what I mean? Like, like talking to people that you've never met before, like it also, I think it kind of is maybe just, yeah, even more so just kind of like, I don't care like about like you're good chatty, like that kind of way. But why would you kind of be a bit more quiet?
I would be like, people that probably meet me for the first time think like he's a quiet lad. No, a few drinks with me, like you won't shut me up. Like, and we'll be in the corner, like down the rabbit hole talking about some shit. But like, I would never be loud in a room or want to be the center of attention, if you know what I mean. Unless that's a different stage. A drunk Sean, like that's a completely different Sean. But it's strange because I started a new job there, and like I would just happily sit there all day and like let other people spark the conversation. And then one of them found out, they're like, "You have a podcast, same thing," and you get all embarrassed. You're like, "Oh yeah, like have a podcast," and da, da, da. And I feel like up here, especially, it hasn't caught on as much. Maybe it's like, even it sounds silly, like down in Dublin, because you said you'd see someone pass and be like, "Oh yeah, they're listening to a podcast." Where up here, if you're laughing on your own, listening to something, they're like, "What the hell is going on over there?" Like,
yeah, I suppose, yeah, it's a weird one as well. Like in that kind of terms, where like I suppose like I've kind of caught on some things from doing the podcast that like, in certain situations I'll kind of use it as well. Now I was actually like on a date there not too long ago, and but like just chatting away, and next thing they're like, started kind of like just telling me some things that like just was like unveiling a bit too much, like for a kind of first date. And I just sat there quiet and I was like, because I've just realized it's like, yeah, if you want people to allow them to talk, you just be quiet and they will keep talking. They will happily keep filling the room. Whether so much before this, I would say if there's any blanker like right now, like I'll fill a void. Like if there's in a room with an awkward situation, I'll fill the void. But like that was one of the ones I found from like, getting into this kind of scheme, that I was being like, all right, maybe I'm definitely not quieter, but I've definitely learned how to use this in some kind of situations by like interviewing people in a wee bit, like kind of putting it on the back foot. That's been like, wow, the power I wield. Yeah.
I find it really strange now, because like if I have a conversation with someone I didn't meet before, which is the majority of my guests I haven't met before, or like outside of a podcast environment, I find myself doing the exact same thing, and like sort of like, you're trying to get to know them, but I'm like, am I trying to get to know you? Or am I like presenting, getting to know Joe? I'm trying to say, you're sort of like,
absolutely.
It's like, it's like a weird, I don't know if that's just how I've always went on, or if that's just a new thing I've picked up. It's sort of like, do I turn it off? Do I not turn it off? Sort of weird.
Yeah,
phase.
It almost becomes a bit more formal or something like this. Like, yeah, so tell me about yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, describe like what's your kind of favorite story, and they'll be like, why are you talking like that? And then you catch yourself back as well. My ones take the piss out of me as well, because they said that I have like a podcast or like a presenting voice I put on, because I kind of do. Like, I know I do, just to be a bit more animated, or like even just like for talking a bit more clearly about things. But like, I know definitely what I do. Like, I have a wee intro where I'm like, welcome back to another episode of Fitter. Like, I may as well just fucking be like, you're listening to Cool FM. Like, do that kind of way. I just catch myself on now, and I can't help it anymore. Like, it just happens in some situations, and I'll be like, oh fuck me. Like,
but it's so difficult. I don't think people understand how difficult it is, even that wee small that you do. Like, I've done like half an hour episodes of just me talking to nobody else, and you forget how you sound, and like you get in your head and you project this voice, and like you lose the run of yourself completely.
Oh no, like that's one thing. Yeah, like I've been really lucky. Like I was considering doing an episode by myself, and has been like, honestly, I chat to other people because they're way more interested than me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what I have to offer to others. Be like, geez, if I've somebody else, and I almost like, so I made a new segment of it, which was kind of like an Agni Ants thing. Like it's like a Finntervention, and I just give people advice. I was literally going to start doing that by myself, and I was being like, it would be funner if literally anybody else came on this with me. So yeah, I still don't know if I've like even grasped that. That's probably why I still can't do stand up. I'd need somebody to hold my hands a little bit. Yeah.
But in fairness, I know a lot of comedians too that like I know there's a Deck Chair and Young's podcast. I've only seen it with Mickey Bartlett. Him and Conor Keys, like they're fantastic. But the two of them, who I mean are probably two of the funniest people I've ever seen live, will not do a podcast solo. They refuse to do it. And I can say Mickey Bartlett's probably the funniest person I've ever seen in my life. And he's just like, nope, won't do it solo. The crack's not the same. Can't be as funny. I'm just like, you are literally the funniest person I've ever seen in my life, and you're saying it. And here's me like a gobshite.
I know, and like I feel like that's happened about a little bit. Is you're comparing to like all these other people that you'd be like, oh, they must be way better. But then she's just started talking to him, like no, it's weird sometimes. Like I find, especially for like say like, even some presenters I've talked to, trying to talk to them on a podcast, like taking somebody out of their realm. Like I imagine that's probably why, like, you know, you hear stuff like, you know, ones like Mickey saying like, oh, I need to, you know, be in somewhere that's a bit more crack. But like there's been some people that have been like, you know, they talk for a living. As soon as I brought them onto the show to try and chat and be like, and I guess similar to kind of like this, like I'm not used to usually chatting about myself at all, but like it was like pulling teeth, and I was being like, come on, man, like you know the way this works. It's like, yeah, this is your fucking career. Like you're getting paid quite a lot more money than I am. Like, and you're being like, why the hell is it so difficult to talk to? It's people that I don't know. Like I suppose that like maybe it's just the people that like don't have to do it for a living or something like that. Maybe have a bit more casualness about it or something like this. Like I feel like once it's taken out of its, you know, comfort zone, people almost don't know how to handle it. So I suppose if you're used to having loads of crack with your mate, then to be like, do your own one, you'd be like, no, it's not the same. Like, and I wish I could say the same, like, do you mean? But I just don't have any mates, so that's why. So yeah, that's how I work with. Yeah.
But like, I'm laughing because if I wasn't laughing at Craig's in the exact same. But like, we just need to have a moment. We'll have a moment. Yeah, we'll be back in a minute. We just need to have a moment. Tears all gone. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're all gone.
Good to move on. So tell me this then. I'm going to ask some direct questions now, not my style, but we'll see how it goes.
Shit.
You said some people you know struggle to get the conversation with, and I'm not going to ask you who, because that would just be a bit heart wrenching. But
said it on another podcast, they actually added it out. That's me like, thank God.
Oh, really?
That's
like, the goal. That's the bit you can't let go. Yeah, that's a rookie mistake.
No, they were so nice to me. I said, like, you lads are too good for this.
I would
definitely have made that. That was a soundbite. I would have had a soundbite and been like, name the change.
I literally would have had it, not even as like a video, the bloody like TikTok 15-second version to make sure everyone watched all of it.
Oh my God. Sorry, so go on.
So what would be like, I was gonna say, do you think it's been like a thing with time that you've gotten bad, like not gotten better, but like, you know, the compatibility, and like if someone's not really flowing that well with you, do you think it's like they're not connecting with you, or the them issue, or like what is the sort of, what do you think causes that?
It's probably, they're probably just the issue. That's usually how it goes. Yeah. Imagine that was there's like go to us, be like, I'm actually perfect at this. Like they're obviously going to be the issue. No, honestly, I've definitely got better, obviously, after time, you know, learn how to like rearrange the kind of, even like the question I used to submit at the start, like I used to go on for ages and like worms roundabouts, and I still do feed in, but I kind of know some things to kind of like switch it up a little bit. Like if like say if a conversation gets a bit too heavy, I know that I just have proclivity to essentially just laughing at everything, like just because I'm excited and like giddy. But I'd say that's probably one thing. Like if the guest kind of gets a bit too like deep into stuff, I know I can't handle it, so I just be like, let me move on. But like I've never really had like too difficult of a guest. Like it's probably been something over time I've got better with. Saying that, now one of my last ones was Phil Taggart. He used to like, you know, like Radio 1, like Chill Show, whatever, like this. He's like class, right? He threw me off so much, and I was so confident going into him because I feel like it's the people that you know, that you think you know so well because you're so engulfing. Then when not, or when they catch off guard a wee bit, then you're like, how do I come back to it? But he got me so good. He turned the play completely on myself because obviously he interviews once for 11, like should have been, he's chatting on the airwaves constantly. And he just started asking stuff, and I just started like telling about my traumas and stuff, and I was being like, shit, man, like this isn't how it's supposed to go. And then I was being like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm not like, I just was being like, you bastard, like I have no idea how to handle you anymore. And he's like, like he was loving it. He started ripping the arse out of me for interviewing Frank Mitchell. Like when I was asking him to be like, oh, do you know what's your like any sign-offs, or like where can people find you? He started reading Frank Mitchell's like Twitter, like, you know, bio thing, and I was being like, man, like fuck you, like, you know what I mean? So I suppose I've got better at handling some things, but I've definitely also got a lot more candid, I'd say, with the guests. Like I'm a lot more casual with them. hence why I tell my guests to fuck off. Yeah,
You feel like you build that
maybe to
rapport.
my own detriment.
You feel like you build a
maybe
rapport
I've
in
just
like
got way too
within the
comfortable.
first 30 minutes of the podcast. You can tell someone to fuck off.
Well, apparently, I don't know if I've deserved it or not, but I did anyway. So,
So then
yeah.
I'm gonna flip it on the other side then. So who would you say who's been, I'll not say a favorite, but like what do you think's been like your best podcast so far? Like which one did you enjoy the most?
Oh, it's hard to tell. Like, so I try, like, because I actually get asked this a lot as well. Like, was just get asked a lot about this old podcast. No, I don't. But no, like, I was literally trying to like scroll through. There's so many ones I forget that I've done because it's got to the point where I'm doing speed dating with these fucking guests. Like, I'm trying to pile a couple of them into a week. Like, I do them like constantly. Like, I've been doing it for a year now. Like, I'm like, I've done, like consistently every week for about a year now, except for maybe 2 weeks over Christmas, something like that. So sometimes I like forget about ones completely. I feel like some standout ones that I was like, I can't believe I got them on was probably like, Shane Todd. That was like one of the ones where I was being like, oh, frig, like, because he was just like, I mean, similar to, Mickey Bartlett or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, but then once you start getting like some random people like that and like they're great into it, then suddenly other people have agreed to it. Like, but even some of my like start ones, I remember I got like this TikTok girl from like Tyrone, and like she's like 2 million subscribers, but like she's called Baby Frogs.
She's what?
She's called Baby Frogs.
Baby
It's like her
Frogs.
name on yeah, and she like basically is like, takes care, like she like has basically start TikTok got like so huge because she was just being like, here's these wee frogs that I decided to like tadpoles, and she raises them, and there's like millions of them. But I don't just remember being like, oh, that'd be so funny if I chat to her in the podcast. And then Sean with her, and she was so interesting. She's like, there's a head case, like 15 years old. She works in like the sandwich company or something like this in Oma. But then she's got like a book deal, like, do you know what I mean? Like this, she's getting like merch and all. And I'm being like, Jesus Christ, like someone's like, do you know what I mean? Like, again, like even like who was it? Tim McGarry. He was one that I was like, oh, I'm never going to get anything bigger than that. And then you kind of end up getting some like cool people on top of it. Like, I don't know, like even Lucy Spraggan, when she got back to me, like I remember being like, or there was one I'm really proud of, and nobody fucking gives me credit for, and I think it's a steal because it was an exclusive as well. She'd never been on a podcast before, but it's this woman, Sinead O'Carroll, right? So do you know that song, say la vie, say you will, say you won't, say you do, right? Bewitched, iconic. I mean, before their time. I mean, that song's going to come on at every single wedding. You'll know it, everybody know it. So she's part of Bewitched. Bewitched haven't done a podcast or anything like this. I think I've actually started one now, but I was the first one to get a proper interview with her and talk about her life. Yeah, and I probably hugged her down. I was exact same with Frank Mitchell as well, where they'd never been on once. And I'm being like, I'll get the most random ones where people like I feel like I'll be really proud of someone's, but then you won't get much feedback off it. But then some random ones will come up where I'll be like, oh, like, yeah, I wasn't as excited to get them, or like, like I thought like they would be, less well received. Those are the ones that people will actually be like, looks like you're doing really well with that, Connor. And I'll be like, oh, and the rest of them have just been twats. Yeah, apparently, yeah, that's fine. Cheers, guys. So,
there's no better fit, but there's no better fit. That like, Joe, when you get that like first podcast that's never been on one before, and you're just like, oh, this is going to slap. Like,
honestly,
you just have that excitement because, like, like a lot of people obviously like come for like, do like your fans and like to listen to you, but obviously the whole point of having someone like that on is to like
a good one.
The whole point of having someone like that on is to like, get their like sort of engagement and their followers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, do you think for you then, is it a matter of like, the bigger it's not, well, no, guess what you said there is the bigger the fish isn't necessarily the bigger the prize.
No, like that's what I mean. Like there's some ones that I've absolutely came out of it buzzing off. Like, and I suppose it's like some people like what I always say is people that I'm interested in. It's not like who I think people are going to, although, yeah, that does play into definitely at the start. I'd be like, right, they need to be extra them a certain following or whatever like this. But then I started doing just like, random TikTokers and stuff like this. I just was laughing at the content so much. And then, of course, because it's a bit like more like accessible, then you'll like kind of they'll like post out loads of stuff and you'll be like, oh, that's right. That's like, because we're the same audience, the people were enjoying each other's content.
Yeah.
And then like, but I feel like at the start, I definitely prioritize this kind of like, and people would take this way, maybe they're like, oh, am I not coming on podcast just because I don't have this many followers or something like this? And I'm like, I don't have that many followers. And of course, I'm going to try to, use whatever kind of thing I can to build it up as quick as possible. Like, but like, no, I think I've got past. I'm saying I've got past that stage, but like, I still want people with like a bit of like, have done cool things or been emphasis, and those tend to be people in the public eye. So
yeah, of course, in
that kind of respect, do you know what I mean? Those are the people that are just in my periphery. Because again, much times I've asked people, who would you like to have on the podcast, or who should I get like on the podcast? And nobody comes back with suggestions. So if I'm pulling these out of like the air every single week and just send out random emails, and again, shamelessness. But yeah, it's a funny one. Like
it's weird these like this shamelessness, because like realistically, like these people have such massive following, as if you're ever going to bump into the street and be embarrassed. It's not like Joe shooting your shot with someone you fancy from your local town, and then you bump into like, oh, it's so not the same.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like there's still like some of the ones that like I like, because I'm so like that there's some ones that like you reach out to and you feel like, oh, they probably won't get back to me. Like anyways, you usually expect and then it's some of the wee ones that like I get back to, then I get a little bit like starstruck almost. So it's similar to run them into the street, except I'm talking to him and I have to try to act normal whenever I'm really being like, and then I immediately just overcompensate by being a freak, and then they're being like, okay, this is what we're dealing with, and I'm like, ha ha ha, like, should I make it fun? Yeah.
I love your energy. You're just so full of that. Like, you just seem like, I honestly genuinely believe you. Whenever we talked earlier, then you're just like, no, this is me. When I turn this off, I'll like be even more like off the screen. Like, I 110% believe that.
I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I've been the most chaotic fucking cam girl on the internet, honestly. Like, there'd be no sauciness about it. I'd be doing a full fucking opera, like.
That's God, you're hilarious.
Why do I say these things on record?
That's the thing, you can never take it back. You can never take it back. And now, thanks to the power of TikTok, it'll put it nice into a 15-second video for everyone to see.
Soundbite, and then I can use the sound from it to like shame myself. I'll honestly, if there's any doesn't feel a bit too big for my boots, that'll definitely hunker me down a wee bit.
Because there's one time you say like you like to keep your podcast night and light, and like if you get into something serious, you'll back out. There was one podcast I ended up talking about like United Ireland and stuff like that, and like somehow I don't have any political views, to be honest. Like Joe, you sort of like one of the people that's not really into it, but it started like coming out that I didn't really like care as such, like that I'm doing now, and you can't stop talking. You're like, oh my God. Yeah. But someone pulled me on the street the other week and was like, I heard you said this in your podcast. I'm like, mate, I could say anything. Like, don't be taking that for face value. Like, I could come out as any shit, especially when it comes to political stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely been one thing that I've learned to give less of a shit, because I've been like, right, if you are actually listening to it, fantastic, but it's like also I just don't expect people to listen to it. Like, and like, do you know what I mean? If they do have to engage on it, that was one thing whenever I got like the flat earth guy on, like I got flack for that, because people were being like was saying I was being anti-Semitic because it was like linked to this, and they're being like, what was the actual like quality of it? And I was being like, but they were like all saying things about like, at least that guy listened to your thing, kind of engage with your content. I just got bollocks for like literally putting up being like, I interviewed a flat earther, and I was being like, because I had genuine kind of interest on what fucking nut job he was. Like, but I didn't go into it with that mindset. I was like, I'll give him the time of day. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll try to understand, humanize it down. If you listen to the podcast, any of those ones that wrote the like random comments and stuff under it, like they were being like, what was like the merit on this? And I was being like, well, I mean, if you kind of look at the community that we've been brought up in, sometimes it helps to listen now to other people. It isn't always the best of form just to say you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, always it's more conducive to growth and conversation if you have a bit of chat with him. But I mean, I definitely didn't sympathize with it, but like I was just kind of awesome, just trying to humanize literally a person, because I'm like, at the end of the day, I have some probably weird fucking beliefs to somebody else. Yeah. But like if I was treated, bad for it, but yeah, that was one thing. At least they listen to your podcast and you're being like, oh, just take it back. That one I was afraid of putting, like, I was someone's going to take it down. Because I was being like, shit, what if people just read it for the label and
No
don't
way.
engage with it, or like don't actually see the rest of it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I'm glad I kept it off, because I think it holds bare. It didn't make
I think in those
itself,
situations,
hopefully.
like I genuinely believe you're better doubling down. Like you are just better. Like the controversy, like it
That was
goes.
honestly
Controversy works. Like not that you were aiming to do that in the first place. Really, like you weren't like antagonizing the
no,
man or
but
anything like that. But like that sort of stuff really comes across engaging, and the algorithms love that shit.
yeah, but also at the end of the day, you're being like, right, if you come in this with no opinion, fair enough. You don't have to be ultra opinionated to one side or the other.
Mhm.
But like, if you come in it with like, do you know what I mean? Like, then what are you talking about, really? Like, that was like one of the things I used to always censor around like this job I used to work with. And I used to be like, this pizza company that rhymes with blah, blah, blows or whatever. Like this. I was like, oh, just in case like I slander them, whatever. And I was doing this with Shane Todd at the time. He's be like, what are you doing, man? He's be like, nobody in Domino's is gonna go back through these podcasts, listen to you go, this wee lad that used to work for us said this shit, blah blah, all this years ago. It's like people don't give that much of a worry.
Yeah.
It's be like, so just calm down and just relax and just say what you're gonna say. If you get some flack for it, you said something, it's out there on the internet, stand up for it, double down, do you know what I mean? That kind of way. If it's offensive, fair enough, apologize, really like realize your mistake, but don't be scared and censoring yourself constantly, because that's not how people talk. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, just don't be a dickhead. Like, that's like, just ground rule number one. Like,
it's like the same thing. It's like I find though, like those sort of people are the same people that'll be like, Joe, like whenever you go out with your mates, like the stuff I don't know about you, but like some of the stuff you come out with, like should not leave your friend group, Joe. Like, you come out with the wildest stuff, like, but people don't. Yeah. People act as if like I would never, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
you're the worst of me.
Yeah.
You're the sort of cunt that would really get cancelled.
Oh, I 1000 believe I've definitely been cancelled like a couple of times. Like, no, actually, that's such a lie. No, I actually keep joking that I've been cancelled, but like I'm actually surprised I haven't. Yeah.
Are you like you sound like you want to be cancelled? Like, oh my god, someone cancelled me. Give me the controversy views.
But if I was cancelled, that'd mean that a hint of influence were to actually just boost my ego out the fucking door. You couldn't get me through this house. Like, so if I dare get cancelled, that'll be a wee feather if I come to be like, did I? Sorry.
It's like I'm cancelable. Oh my god, look at me.
yeah. Jenny and to be like, no, Cara, this is a bad thing. I'd be like, me? Cancelled? Me? Stop. I didn't think I was that good. Okay.
And then what happens is you reload with a different podcast, different name. I don't know how you could rebrand Finnterviews to something else. It's kind of very, very, not much left and right.
Well, I had a guest call me. Had a guest try to promote it on his own socials to be like, I shot on Finter Talks, so now I get taken piss out of that. Where like people be like, how's the Finter Talks going? And be like, oh come on, like it doesn't even work that way. Come on, Jay.
I mean, I butchered at the start of this, but at least it didn't come out with Finter Talks.
Yeah, I won't hold it against you. It's kind.
But I think we've been going for a good hour here. I think anyway. And I hate doing this because I always have so much crack with all my guests, and everyone's a bundle of fun, and it's always a pleasure. But unfortunately, we do have to bring these things to an end. We're not Joe Rogan. We're not going to go for 3 hours. My poor wee MacBook can't process this as it is.
Connor, you're gonna need to shut the fuck up and piss off, please. No, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I really appreciate being asked on, because again, I started this up to just get chatting to people randomly. So for it to be like other people getting in touch with me, I'd be like, oh, let's have a chat, and be like, well, why would you ever want to chat to me? But like, oh yeah, I really enjoy it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Do you think you sympathize with like the messages sent? So like, obviously, I message you, be like, oh, would you like to come on? Would you sympathize with that message and be like, I'm not going to be that guy that I hate, that he's like ignored?
Oh, absolutely. But like, do you know what I mean? Who the fuck do I think I am that I'm like, like red, no reply? Like, come on, like Jesus Christ. I will not sympathize either. Like, it more just be like, oh, you want to talk to me? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Again, it is my ego that's completely fueling all of this.
Mhm.
Like, so.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, I haven't talked too much smack. Ale.
I can't believe you're the first person to ever use that line. That is outrageous. I think we're like 40 something episodes in, and that's the first time, and hopefully the last time we'll hear that one. I actually do have one more question before I go, because I get people sending questions, stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure I got most of them out, Joe, in between all the crap.
Nobody sent a question.
That's
Nobody
a lie.
sent a
Yes, they
question.
did. Yes, they did. And
Nobody sent in a question. You're making these up. I'm
Nope.
calling it now.
swear.
Okay.
Swear.
Okay,
Someone
go
wanted
for
to know. Last question was, someone just wanted to know what. This is the only one I didn't really get to throw in there. But what is your outright like
Who
top
are
3
you?
podcasts at the minute?
Who the fuck's this guy? Yeah, that's the question. Oh, top 3 podcasts at the moment. Okay.
Yep. All right, Smac
My
Talk.
dad wrote a Porto. Smack Talk. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, slip the tongue.
Number 1 in order.
So it's Smack Talk.
Yeah.
It's probably definitely up there. Finnterviews like close second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. But I probably can't use my own one. So maybe say my dad wrote a Porto. It is Top Quality Ping Pong. And also I'm horny for the Blind Boy podcast.
Oh, really?
Like long walks in the beach, yeah, where it just goes so existential, where you come back almost like you've just been like, I know when if you ever had this play group where there's kind of like nap time, but they read a story and stuff like this, you kind of come out of it like a phase like where like just like like kind of like you're like an out of body experience where somebody's talking so much like random stuff that you're completely taking out your situation. But and then again, anything that makes me laugh. I mean, there's this one, like, I don't know if you have seen like The Young Offenders.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, the guy that's the principal in it, he's also like a comedian, PJ Gallagher.
Okay.
But he does this one. It's Dublin's podcast, and then there's some other ones that probably deserve shout out, but I also can't remember because I've been chatting for an hour and
your brain's gone mush.
Yeah,
That happens. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I was saying, you can. I guess you're better at me than at telling us where we can all find you, so we can find you on.
Through the keyhole, through the window. No, my address is no, yeah, absolutely. If anybody has for some reason listened to this and thought, yeah, let's discover more about this wee Spacky con. I am on everything at this time. Like, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. But it's just Finnterviews. Because that's my surname, Conor Finn. So just interviews, but Finn at the start, or Finnterviews podcast, or if you really want to see some weird shit I post up to probably like my friends only, it's called at the Conor Finn. That's my Instagram as well. Give it a follow if you want to, but no pressure. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that's if somebody for some reason wants to find out more about me that I haven't already spilled my guts on here. That's
I'm gonna try to
to
get one exclusive off before you go. Who's your what guest are you most excited for the future?
Oh God, you think of future guests?
You're like me. You're like me. Text you on the Monday. When can you do it? Tuesday. Do well.
Yes. I'm like, I get them week to week. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, Daniel O'Donnell. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Fuck
He's
yeah.
coming on to
Yeah.
it. Like, it's inevitable. So that is who I'm very excited to have on the show. Yes.
I can't wait to watch that one. I really look forward to it. And thank you again, Conor, so much for your time. If you've enjoyed this episode, guys, make sure you leave a like,
No worries.
a wee comment, all the other stuff. Please go look up Conor's stuff because his podcast is generally very, very, very good, and his guests are fantastic as well at Finnterviews. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks, Conor, and I'll see you all again in the next one. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.